Hello, vinyl community. How you doing? I'm Gary, and this is Physical Format Rock and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I wanted to jump on the thread started by one of my best friends, and that would be Mr. Chris Propfe. Nobody quite does a thread like Chris. We could probably just leave all the threads to him. He's a great guy and very talented. Anyway, I just wanted to jump on this. His whole idea, and I thought this was a pretty good one, it's called I Don't Need You. The whole idea, right, is somebody who has had a solo career apart from the band that they are kind of famous for being in. So let's get it started. I'm not going to show all the records by, an artist. I might show one or two or whatever, just to keep it moving. First one I would like to talk about. This guy was a guitar player from one of my favorite bands from the 70s and 80s and throughout, and that would be Michael Schenker from UFO. He left UFO probably at the height of their popularity. They had they'd recorded their live album, their famous live album, Strangers in the Night. By that time, when it came out, he was already gone. He had formed the Michael Schenker Group. This is their album, Assault Attack, one of my favorites from them. This is the one where Graham Bonnet was on lead vocals. I think this came out in like 82. There you can see a younger Michael Schenker and a younger Graham Bonnet. They definitely both look different today. Fantastic. I love Desert Song on here and Samurai. Great album. Michael Schenker, fantastic guitar player. Did quite well on his own. Next up, here's one of the more famous ones. Of course, she was in Fleetwood Mac, and that would be Stevie Nicks. Stevie has went on to have a highly successful solo career. This is Wild Heart. This is my favorite Stevie Nicks solo album. Now, she was putting out solo albums while she was still in Fleetwood Mac. I felt like her first couple solo albums were better than anything Fleetwood Mac would do after that point. And not that I like that. I like Mirage, Tango in the Night and stuff. Look at this. Look how horrible that is on the back. That's because I had this album cover stuck on a wall. That's how stupid I was at one point. Didn't think I was going to be listening to records again. Stevie, just a great artist. This is one I recommend picking up also if you don't have any Stevie Nicks. It's called Stand Back, and it is a double album. It's just basically kind of a greatest hits. Got a couple slight obscurities on there, but really good album. Nice collection to have. Next up, from one of my all-time favorite bands, he was in a little band called Led Zeppelin. Robert Plant. Robert Plant went on to have a pretty successful solo career after the breakup of Led Zeppelin after John Bonham's tragic death. This, of course, is his debut solo album, Pictures at 11. This is also my favorite of his solo albums. His first two, this one and Principle of the Moments, fantastic solo albums. And then after that, his solo career became very spotty. In my mind, still had some fantastic albums in there. Now and Then being one of them. But, he also had some hit and miss on there. But this one, wow, this is great. You got Cozy Powell and Phil Collins on drums on this thing. This is just a great, this is probably better really than In Through the Outdoor, in my humble opinion. Next up, he was in a band called Generation X. He went on to have a pretty successful solo career, wouldn't you say? Mr. Billy Idol. Billy Idol, fantastic artist. This is, in my mind, the highlight of his career. The fantastic Rebel Yell, a 5-star record. This is basically reads like a greatest hits, a lot of that. If you look at that, him and Steve Stevens combined to form one of the seminal albums from the 80s. But, I just want to show these real quick. Billy Idol still putting out good music. Over the past few years, he's put out 2 EPs, the Roadside EP and the Cage EP. I love both of these records. Highly recommend them if you're not familiar with them. There's only 4 songs on them. It's the same songs on both sides, but every time I listen to them, I play them again. I play the songs again. Just fantastic records. Love them. And then finally, he's been in several bands, actually. He does really good in bands. But probably the most famous band that he was in was Deep Purple. This, of course, is a copy of Stormbringer. There's his autograph on there. You would never know what that says, except that I'm telling you that it's Mr. Glenn Hughes. Glenn Hughes has had a solo career also. You're saying, well, wait a minute, wasn't he in the Dead Daisies and Black Country Communion and Trapeze and 50 bazillion other bands? Yes, but he also does solo stuff. Here's one of my favorites of his, Building the Machine. This is kind of, it's Glenn Hughes, so it's kind of funky. He's also done some albums with another guy who's had a solo career, Joe Lynn Turner. That they worked together. This is a pretty interesting album, Live in Tokyo. If you can find this one, they do songs of their own. They do songs together. They made 2 studio albums together. Pretty interesting stuff. And as far as his solo albums, this is might be my favorite of his, Resonate. This is probably the one I would recommend to the casual listener because it's his most hardest rocking solo album. Like I said, his others are a little more funky. If you like that, I would recommend that too. Fantastic singer, Glenn Hughes. Of course, he was with David Coverdale back in Deep Purple. He was kind of the backing singer, sang with him. He sang solo on a few songs. Glenn Hughes doing Deep Purple when he does that solo tour. Highly recommend that tour. That's fantastic. But this album, Resonate, if you want to pick up a solo album, him, I recommend that one. So those are my picks. Chris, I hope you're happy with it. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it. I've been having a good time watching everybody's videos on it. So everyone who has watched my video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know your time is valuable. So I'm Gary. Till the next time, my friends, I will see you down the road.